of today's luncheon could not be more appropriate as we prepare to commemorate the 20th anniversary of September 11, this Saturday. At this time, I'd like to ask Justin Kaufman to come forward. He will offer the invocation of the food. Justin, of course, is the founding senior pastor at Harvestville Church and a member of the Midlothian City Council. Justin.
Awesome. What an opportunity to gather today and open this event up in prayer. Don't worry, the Lord will forgive you for eating before you pray. If you would, so kind of join me in prayer this afternoon. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together in this place and just recognize your presence here in this moment. God, we thank you for our first responders, all of them who serve our community so wonderfully. God, your word says that in John chapter 15, that blessed are the peacemakers. So we just bless all of our law enforcement officers, all of our police officers, all of our firefighters. God, we thank you that they are a blessing to our community as being peacemakers. Your word also says that there's no greater love than for one to lay down his life for his brother. So we acknowledge those who have literally laid down their life, but we also acknowledge those who continue to lay down their life on a daily basis in service to their community. So we just give this afternoon to you. God, I pray a blessing upon these first responders. I pray a blessing upon their families for the sacrifices that their husbands, their wives, their spouses, their kiddos make on a daily basis. Jesus, I just pray that you bless them and bless this meal in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Justin. Appreciate you offering that prayer. I urge everyone to continue to pray for our elected officials, our first responders, and the many professionals that work on behalf of Midlothian residents and the business community. We are honored to have several elected officials and dignitaries with us today. It's my pleasure to introduce them. As your name is read, please stand. I'm going to ask the audience to hold your applause until our guests have been introduced. They are all with the City of Midlothian. Our Mayor, Richard Reno, Council members, we've met Justin Kaufman, also Wayne Sibley, Ted Miller, Hud Hartson, and the Clark is on the list, maybe on his way. Thank you for your service to our community. Did I miss any elected officials? Very good. I do want to, I'll introduce someone who is representing an elected official here in just a moment. It is also my great pleasure to thank the Chamber's key volunteers and leadership. If you're on the Chamber's Board of Directors or serve as a Chamber Ambassador, will you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Your Chamber of Commerce succeeds by offering the best possible service to service, resources, and information to you, our members. Help me now thank your Chamber staff, that is Judy Bates, Membership Director, Mary Beth Bartlett, our Special Events Manager, and Miranda DeLay, our Social Media Manager. Thanks to my team. Today's event would not be possible without our presenting sponsors, Methodist Midlothian Medical Center and Atmos Energy. We thank you very much for your support of the Chamber and this important event. This morning, Al Hernandez is dealing with an urgent matter and could not be here, but he asked me to express his appreciation in person to our first responders on behalf of Atmos Energy. Thank you to our presenting sponsors. Now we had the largest number of sponsors respond when we sent out this invitation to our members, and we know that is because you too have a heart for our first responders and wanted to share in the opportunity to appreciate them. So I'm going to name our VIP sponsors first. They are Heroes of Midlothian and Gerdau. Our corporate sponsors, oh yes. Our corporate sponsors are the City of Midlothian, Blue Line Pest Police, Tarleton State University, and Centennial Roofing. Thank you guys. And today we have a group of additional sponsors that we don't normally have. These are individuals and chamber members who provided first responder meals. Ellis Christian Women's Job Corps, Stephanie Sanders with Edward Jones, Frost Bank, Gateway Mortgage, Hill Financial Group, Manna House, Speedy Electric, Verity Mortgage. Did I miss any of our individual sponsors? Thank Thank you very much. Now, when we get to the part where we are honoring we're recognizing our honorees, then I'm going to ask each of those honorees, as your name is read by your chief, you'll come forward and accept a certificate from Senator Cruz and from his DFW liaison, Michael Fushi. Our chairman of the board is Angela Asadi. She will join your chief in the presentation, and everyone will have their photo taken. So I'm pleased to get started on this. This time I'm going to ask, I start with Chief McCaskill. Chief Dale McCaskill began his career in fire service in 1986 as a volunteer firefighter with Midlothian Fire Department, ultimately becoming a certified firefighter and paramedic. After achieving his certification, Chief McCaskill's professional career began with the Rowlett Fire Department, where he promoted through the ranks to the position of captain. Chief McCaskill returned to Midlothian in 2007 as the deputy chief over training. 8 years later, Chief McCaskill was named fire chief of the Midlothian Fire Department. Chief McCaskill holds an associate degree in fire science technology from Pikes Peak Community College and a bachelor's degree in business administration from Northwood University. In 2011, Chief McCaskill graduated from the accredited Executive Fire Officer Program at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland. The curriculum of this 4-year program required extensive research of current challenges facing fire service and the development of innovative solutions to their ever-changing needs. He holds Master Firefighter and Head of the Department certifications under the Texas Commission on Fire Protection. Chief McCaskill says, and I heard him say this morning, he is proud to serve the community that he has called home since 1972. He serves on several committees with the Midlothian ISD, and his greatest reward is giving back to the community that has given him so much over the year. Chief McCaskill, your turn. I'm sorry. I knew there was something missing from my script. My introduction of Michael Fushi. Michael, if you will please come forward. I'm going to introduce you to someone. This person has been a friend of mine for about 7 years. 7.5 years. He is the liaison for the DFW area for Senator Cruz. Now, Senator Cruz has a real heart for business. And so he has challenged Michael and the people in similar positions all across the state to be active in their business communities, to be the liaison representing him to you, the chamber members and the business community. So it's my pleasure to introduce Michael Fushi. He's going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing here and why the senator is involved. Michael.
Anything Laura asks me to do, I'm always proud to be a part of. And, I go out and speak across North Texas on a lot of issues. I just did an event last week with Congressman Michael Burgess on surprise medical billing. And normally I call our press team or speechwriters, policy staff, and kind of get some bullet points. And this one hit me just a little different because there's a lot of issues we talked about. This one was definitely more emotional. And whether it's the first responders community or the veterans community, y'all are a different breed of people. And thank God y'all are. This is a true mission, a ministry, a passion, something y'all are called to. And we are eternally grateful for that calling and for what y'all do and put yourself in harm's way. And you never really know, whatever division you're coming from, police, firefighter, EMS, you never really know what the situation may be when you get there, what's going to happen, how it's going to end up. And so this was one of those too, as I was thinking and even talking to Ted on the phone, like, there's certain positions and platform issues, obviously, when you work for Ted Cruz that he's going to support. And we were talking, we were like, wait, we have no other option. What else would you do if you did not support your first responders? You support those who protect you, who keep you safe, who just keep you out of harm's way. And so just want to thank you. We pray for you every day. We love what you do. We're grateful for what you were called to. And I had a couple of bullet points that Ted and I were talking about that just came to mind when he thinks about first responders. Community, service, make Texas stronger and safer. tireless effort, dedication, nation's finest. Y'all provide assistance to those in need and leave a lasting impact on the community, region, and state. And especially, I think, too, with what's going on these days in the news, we need to learn to turn it off. And I'm preaching to the choir when I'm talking to y'all in both your city council, talks to your school board, talks to your community leaders and chamber, but especially in regards to the police. I just want to let you all know, too, that as Ted and I travel across the state, we talk to police chiefs, and we talk to community leaders. It doesn't matter what part of town we're in, what socioeconomic part of life you're in, or what race. People, if you are a productive member of society and you're trying to take care of your family, do something with your life, you want to be able to pick up the phone, call 911, and get whatever service it is you need. So do not listen to the news narrative. It doesn't matter if I'm in Ellis County or if I'm in Fair Park area, people want to be able to call 911 and have their provider come and take care of whatever situation they're in. So again, I will let Laura, we're going to do certificates now, but God bless. We're thankful for you. We pray for y'all every day, and thanks for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. Laura, you said 15 minutes for me, right? I don't know why that's such an emphasis. 15 minutes. I've had that told to me 3 times now. You can only get 15 minutes.
No, you take as much.
No. So, Laura, you mentioned in your comments that we're quickly coming up on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and for most of us in the room, we know exactly where we were the day that first plane hit the South Tower and then the next plane hit the North Tower. And it's hard to believe 20 years later, here we are talking about it and still have those vivid images and sounds in our brains that we can fall back to and remember. I distinctly remember holding my youngest child, who was 3 months at the time, watching that, and as that first tower collapsed and that dust cloud rolled down through the streets in between those buildings and people were running in chaos, knowing that firefighters and police officers and emergency medical technicians were all rushing into that cloud, not away from it. And then a minute later, hearing all of those SCBAs go into alert. And for those of you that don't understand what that means is when a firefighter stops moving for a minute, their air pack will start to make a noise that is piercing to your ears, but it's telling you somebody's in distress. And that's the only sound that I can remember hearing that morning holding my youngest child was those SCBAs alerting and knowing that after that tower had collapsed, many firefighters, police officers, civilians had been killed. And trying to unpack how that would shape us as we move forward. You know, for some of the people in the room that are in our organization, they weren't even born then, which is hard to believe. Or they were 1 or 2 years old, which really makes me feel old today. First off, let me thank everybody who's here to recognize first responders. As you can see, we don't like recognition. We sit in the back in a corner. It's just like a church. You'll feel it filled up in the back first. I can speak for the men and women that work for the Midlothian Fire Department that we signed up to serve no matter what. Pandemic, trauma, whatever's going on in the world, we signed up to be the answer to that chaos. And we don't look for recognition, but we are thankful that we are here today to be able to receive some of that. We'll also say that everyone in this organization over the last 18 months has endured a lot, and I wish I could give a certificate to everybody. I guess I can. I'll print one up for everybody later. But to call out 2 or 3 individuals in the organization and recognize them here today was very difficult. When I look at all the people in our organization and know that each one of them deserves recognition for what they do. You know, for those of you who don't really understand what they do, on a daily basis they show up for 24 hours and they respond to your chaos, whatever it may be, and they try to bring calmness to it. That's not always easy. Some of the things that our personnel see in the field and the emotions they have to deal with are overwhelming. And can pay a toll on the way they react in normal life. I like to tell people I'm fractured emotionally. My wife would agree, I think. But we don't respond to things normally. When people normally cry at somebody's death, we don't. When people show certain emotions of reaction in crisis, we don't. We have to control that and channel it so that we can do our job. And that's a very difficult thing to do. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is recognize somebody in our organization, and we're basically calling this outstanding servant leadership. And what that means to me is that when you talk about servant leadership, that means that we're serving others and not ourselves, not the organization. Our primary goal is to serve others, which is the epitome of what we do in the fire service and the police department as well. So one of the things that when you think about the toll that it takes on each one of our individuals is their mental health. Mental health has become a very big topic of concern in our occupation. I can tell you that each one of us has suffered some when it comes to the things that we've done as a part of our job. So one of the individuals, Jeremy Amelia, if you'll start coming on up. Where are you at, Jeremy? Oh, there you are. Isolated himself and tried to hide. Jeremy Amelia has been very instrumental in starting and continuing to conduct our resiliency program, which is a peer-driven program that allows for our personnel to seek help when they go out on a traumatic call, when they do CPR on a baby, when they have a call that just really gets to them. We have systems in place now that we can reach out to peers, we can reach out to clinicians that can help us get through those things, because we know today that our mental health is probably the thing that's attacked the most. So I just want to say thank you to Jeremy for continuing to make our organization and our mental health a priority in that being outstanding servant leadership. So congratulations.
Just from a senator.
That's so funny.
Sorry.
Okay. You ready? All right, 1, 2, 3.
All right, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to freeze you out there. All right, so 8 minutes. Thank you, Kevin, for letting me know that. I haven't even got to the jokes yet. So another way that our organization is being served by one of our individuals. In today's world, it's hard to get people A, motivated, B, stick with a commitment, and develop something that's a product that's of quality and that will sustain itself. We have tried many times to get motivation in an area of our organization where we can honor others, and we finally have somebody that I believe is going to be able to take that on and lead us in that direction. And when we talk about leadership, it doesn't mean you have to have brass on your shoulders. Leadership comes from all levels of the organization. And so firefighter Andrew Gatlin, if you'll come up. Andrew Gatlin, we're going to recognize him for outstanding service leadership for 2 different things. Basically, he is in charge of our honor guard. He just returned back from an honor guard camp that basically spent a week learning how to fold flags and to properly honor people at their last moment. He was also very involved in a ride to school for a young man who lives in our community on his first day, Michael Murphy. Andrew saw that. His heart was driven to try to make Michael's first day of school a good one. So he organized getting the fire truck out there, the police department, superheroes. I think Batman and Captain America were there. Michael was surprised that we were there, and most of all, his biggest superhero, the firefighter, showed up for him that day. So Carl, you'll get the mic in a minute. But we did give Michael a ride to school and made his first day of school hopefully less of a nervous event for him. So, Andrew, thank you for doing what you're doing and serving our organization.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, you scooted on us.
There you go. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Andrew. Oh. You bet.
All right, last but not least, the last person that we're going to recognize today officially, I'll recognize everybody else later when I get your certificates printed out, is one of our leaders who, anytime we ask him to do something, he never shies away from it. He always is willing to work, and we need people in our occupation that have trade skills. This is something that is a big asset for our organization, and so Chief Goldman, if you'll come up. Yep, that's you, Matt. Were you dozing off there? Sorry. Chief Goldman, he can weld anything, he can fix anything, he can build anything. He likes to race cars. But Chief Goldman, not only is he one of our leaders in the organization because of his rank, but he was instrumental in our training facility project. We have a 4-story training tower with burn rooms in it. We needed a place that we could store stuff. He organized getting trailers brought in. He personally built, with the help of some of the other firefighters, welded together the canopies and all the stuff that goes in it and made it. It wasn't something that you would think a firefighter built. It was actually something that was a really, really good product. So that's a compliment, I guess. But Matt has served our organization in a lot of different ways, but I just wanted to recognize you for being willing to not be asked to do something, seeing a need, filling it, and that whole facility out there, you've had a big part in it, and I wanted to say thank you for that and your leadership.
Actually, you were right. Speech back. I hate to admit that. Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
How many minutes do I have? 2 minutes, all right. So I'll turn it over to who's going to introduce Chief Smith. I do want to say that it is it's an honor to serve with the Midlothian Police Department and the men and women that work there. We find ourselves at the scene together at most scenes of chaos, and we work well together, and I'm proud to serve with him. So beyond that, thank you very much for your support and being here today. We do appreciate it, and it is heartfelt.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to ask Jerry Gansky to come forward. He is president of Methodist Midlothian Medical Center, and he is going to introduce our next speaker. Jerry?
I would like to say that I don't want to shortchange Chief Smith, and you emailed me the resume for Dale.
Do you have his bio? Oh, she's got you. Let's go. He wants to go. We got it. Okay.
Practice Dale. Oh, shoot.
You want to do it again?
You're not dressed right.
This is my first time reading him, so
This is my first time.
There's big hard words.
Okay. Laura assures me there's no hard words on here, so I want to introduce Carl D. Smith. He began his law enforcement career with the city of DeSoto back in 1987, where he completed 20 years of service. And since his appointment as chief of police for Midlothian in 2007, operations have grown to over 105 full-time employees. And I have never had one of them beat me the window of my car since I've been here. So I'm thrilled to say that. He's received regional recognition for his role in the creation of the Regional Dispatch Center, as well as one of the first regional SWAT teams in Texas. And while employed with DeSoto, Chief Smith obtained a Bachelor of Criminal Justice from Dallas Baptist and his Master's in Criminal Justice from Sam Houston State. and he completed the 37th Command College ILEA and attended the FBI National Academy. Very impressive. Chief Smith served on the Regional Emergency Preparedness Advisory Committee from 2006 to 2017, and currently serves on the NCT Regional 911 Committee, the Texas TERT Advisory Board, the Advisory Committee for North Central Law Enforcement Basic Academy. He's a member of the Rotary Club of Midlothian, the Midlothian Bible Church. He serves on the boards of two nonprofits, the Crisis Relief Ministries and the Heights Ellis County Resources. And he serves as adjunct professor for Tarleton University since 2012. He studied in law enforcement ethics, organizational management, and challenges within criminal justice organizations. And he will celebrate 29 years of marriage to his wife Ginger this month. That is actually the biggest thing that's on here.
Yeah.
Congratulations. The Smiths, who have lived in Midlothian since 1996, have two children, Noah and Lauren, son-in-law Sean, and grandson Tristan. I'm proud to introduce Chief. Please, Carl.
Well, I think it's hard to follow Dale Castro. I don't know if Gordon did that intentionally, to get the comic out of the way, because I'm not nearly as funny as he is. But I do remember one story about Dale a few years ago. His goal in an October celebration was to be a police chief. So he dyed his hair black, grew a mustache, borrowed one of our t-shirts, or one of our shirts, and walked around with a box of donuts all through city of Midlothian campuses. Just one step ahead of me because I had a warrant for his arrest for impersonating a police officer.
Nice.
And that didn't, we have it, the statute of limitations is still running on it.
They say it's flattery.
Yes. And Laura reached out a couple of years. We tried to do this over the last couple of years to recognize some of the outstanding efforts from our law enforcement officials in PD. We actually do this in the first part of the year as we do our awards on a calendar basis. So we've celebrated these officers already, and it's very appropriate that our community gets to see kind of what they're doing. That goes unnoticed. We put it on our Facebook page, which a lot of times we have great comments on their efforts. But today, we have two officers of the quarter, and that's one of the things we do each quarter is consider the effort of our officers in the field to see what kind of outstanding work they produce. And that can be in an extreme situation where they show a lot of courage, or they're just exemplifying our motto, service above self. Or they're working in a variety of fields. So we try to recognize that on a quarterly basis. Two of those officers are here today. And then we'll actually go back and recognize the calendar awards we had for 2020. 2020 was an eventful year, as you know, with the beginning of the COVID lockdowns for law enforcement and fire. And for most of the city of Midlothian, life really didn't change much. When we talk about lockdowns and how people were locked in their homes, and I know my staff, we didn't feel that way. We were at work every day. The streets were bare. It was it was like a holiday every day because there wasn't anybody in the stores, there wasn't anybody in the retail environments, there wasn't anybody at the restaurants. So coming off this year has been very difficult for all first responders, especially those who are encountering the COVID disease and dealing with that up front. So all of our officers and firefighters, paramedics, our communication division, they were the front line of those communications for us and really warned us of the potential dangers we were encountering. So we don't have any of our communication officers with us today, but we consider those first responders as well. So our first recognition today is Officer Chris Benson. He is one of our commercial vehicle officers, enforcement officers, well known to the state. If you saw our Facebook post recently, He just finished second in his first statewide competition for the knowledge and actually administering commercial vehicle enforcement. There are just about 270 of those inspectors in the state of Texas. It's a program run by the DPS. Chris is well known to the state for being an exemplary officer and very, very knowledgeable in commercial vehicle enforcement. So, thank you. One is tighter.
Yep, a little bit. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Chris Douglas. He's in court. So, I didn't see him. One of the, you may have known that we have an officer that portrays one of the most admired comic book heroes to date, Captain America. Chris Douglas has invested in a costume, if you will, a uniform that has brought him really regional acclaim. He started this as an outreach to kids in hospitals. And I know I have a friend from high school that did this, to go around in superhero type costumes and visit sick children. And so Chris really began to build that skill, if you will, impersonating Captain America. He does an excellent job. He accompanied me to a demonstration for kindergartners and first and second graders last week. And they just oohed and awed about Captain America, and he does an excellent job of reaching those kids at that level. And it's really it really breaks down barriers for us to go in and introduce law enforcement from that perspective. But he's very much, we just transferred him to our outreach unit. He works with Curtis, no, I'm sorry. There's too many Scott Curtises in my organization. Curtis Hughes, who also portrays himself as Batman. You might see these two out and about. We'll see them Saturday, I'm sure, at National Night Out kickoff on Saturday evening. You have an opportunity to come. That's a sponsor there from the city. So, but Chris was one of our officers important for his efforts. He's very valuable in our organization. The next award we have. In our department, there's 105 to 110 employees, depending on fully staff. We have sworn, which are police officers, we have communication officers, and then we have staff that we use the term civilian. They're not sworn. They're very much a part of our team. They support the officers in the field, our administration, and it goes without saying that we could not do our job well without them, without their support. So our first award on the annual calendar is our Civilian of the Year, Nicole Brown. Nicole is our only full-time custodian, jailer, whatever you want to refer to. But she is the most popular person in our patrol staff. And she takes all the nasty work off of their hands and dealing with the bookings and things like that. And they come in, and she does an excellent job of getting them back out the street as quickly as possible. So she has come on and really changed the efficiency of our patrol division, and just loved dearly by our staff. Congratulations.
1, 2, 3. Let me turn it on. Come on. All right, 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Our school resource program, you may know that we now have 10 officers in the schools, and they work with our kids on a daily basis. The next award recipient is Billy Howard, the sergeant. He received Supervisor of the Year. He took on a new role last year with Richard Pena. You may know Richard's name. Just got elected to the school board and suffering a difficult bout with COVID the last few months. But he's filled big shoes in following Richard Pena and provides guidance to all the SROs. I know I call him on a regular basis. One of the things about this program is I can call them and say, I've got a parent who's called me and is having a difficult issue with his son. And he has reached out to many 14 and 15-year-old kids at the high school level and he mentored them personally. He's doing that right now for a mutual friend of ours. Just doing an excellent job of supervising those in a very critical role in the school resource. Really helpful. Thank you.
One, two, three.
The Officer of the Year is an award. We look over the 365 days. We look back and see who has performed well over that time frame. And the recipient this past year's award is actually one of the investigative staff. I stole him from DeSoto. I got in trouble for that. Actually, I stole Chris from DeSoto too. I stole about 8 officers from DeSoto in the last several years, including Chris Douglas, Captain America. And as you know, I came from DeSoto, but for 20 years or so was there. So I hired most of those guys as an assistant chief. So when they got to a point where they were ready to have a change in scenery, I convinced them to come down. So Nate Sigler coming up. He's done an excellent job since arriving. One of his first endeavors was to help us solve a brutal murder that happened on Highway 67 in front of Walmart. And I think we saw that and had one in custody within a week. So excellent investigative skills, excellent leadership. Really thank you, Nate.
One, two, three.
Laura, well, part of your PowerPoint, if you don't mind. That's not real plagiarism. This is pretty easy for me to talk about. Laura asked me to talk about, to speak about the new public safety building that was approved in last year's bond. You might know that it took 2 rounds for us to get that approved. And the second time around, it was a much more expensive endeavor. And I can answer questions about that. You know, a lot of questions. In fact, I've had several people ask me, well, what's wrong with the facility you have? Oh, they haven't been, they haven't been in the facility. When I arrived in 2007, the PD staff had just moved into the old Baptist church there on the highway. And they had been in since March. I came in July of 2007. And what was immediately obvious that we were in a church. We weren't in a police building. For obvious reasons. There was no surveillance on the exterior of the building. There was no electronic locking system. There were operational windows that were, if you think back about, the old operational windows from the 70s, very thin glass. You could knock it out without much effort at all. And we had dispatchers working overnight without any security or any real locking mechanism, and no way to know if someone had entered the building. There's 55,000 square feet of disjointed space. We had the old sanctuary, we had the old the 2-story building where it was an activities building. It was completely out of use at the time. And it was, they freshened it up, they put new carpet in it, and painted the walls. And they run some pretty intense electrical conduits from a new generator, and we're lucky we haven't burned it down yet. I don't think there is much electricity that's running through that facility. It was never designed to to do that. And so we've had challenges just having internet connectivity, just our phones connectivity. We had to move the central nervous system of the building, if you will, to the center of the building. Because electrical and fiber only goes about 300 feet before it loses the ability to communicate with its original server. So all of that together over the years, I've got a picture, we'll get to it, that really kind of brings it home. Back in, I forget what year it was, maybe 2010, there was a tornado that formed over US 287, and it's coming over the building. And a bunch of cops were out there taking pictures of it. And my wife asked me why I was doing that, and says, what cops do. I just kind of look at danger and laugh. But, you know, the building has served us well in terms of office space. We could not complain about the size of offices that we want to work. One of the challenges that we deal with is the movement of people. We have people that come in as victims of crime, and then at the same time we're interviewing people that commit crime. And they all meet in the center. If you remember the Baptist church, if you've been there, it has one long center hallway. And our jail, our holding facility, is the very end of that. And Nicole routinely escorts people out now. We call it the Blue Mile because it's a very long corridor, and it runs through the middle of our interview rooms and our 911 center. And so as we're escorting people out or being booked in for a crime, we're also escorting people in to interview them because they're a victim of crime. And so the flow of that department doesn't work well at all. It wasn't designed to do what it's doing. And it is nearly as old as I am. It was built back in the early 70s, and so it was designed to house a church and move masses of people 3 times a week. And we're moving masses of people every day. And we're running off about, I think we have 27 residential air conditioning units that we replaced. I replaced every one of them twice. And so we're quite the property manager over the years with this building. Sewer systems, water systems, we can't even replace the equipment in our holding facilities. They don't make the equipment anymore. So when we start talking about replacing what is considered now critical infrastructure, it's designed to house emergency management operations, critical 911 operations, policing. We actually drug Dale kicking and screaming into the new building. He likes his home downtown. And so we're coordinating, we're collaborating with fire admin, police admin, 911 communications, and emergency operations, all in one location, which will make those events much more efficient. And it's going to be a facility that will operate through an F5 tornado. And so when you think about that kind of critical infrastructure, and when you're calling 911, you're not thinking about what's happening on the other side of that phone. So every one of our communication officers just recently, in the last 18 months, has seen a tornado that demolished two different shopping centers just less than a half a mile away. And granted, they had steel framing and we had wood framing. So there's no way our building would have survived through that event. And they could not move. We talk about human capital. What is it worth to protect them through an event like that? So our council has supported that now for 2 bond elections. And our community felt that it was also time to replace that aging facility. And there's so many great things about that because we go in there, we're going to address a bunch of needs, both internally and externally for our communities. So one of the things we think about is the global impact on the Midlothian. You know, think of that. Terrorism is something that law enforcement has been dealing on a regular basis for years and years and years. It's nothing new to law enforcement. But it is coming closer to home. In fact, I think it was the city of Plano that had a shooting in its lobby most recently. And so we're looking at more and more aggressive acts against law enforcement. And so the need to create a more secure environment is on the rise. Not to mention the national scene where we have border issues and people coming up 35 and 287 and 67, which are major arterial roadways in the North Texas area. They are the transportation area that we see a lot of folks from Mexico delivering their goods, and we're talking about narcotics and other things through those We are a prime target on Highway 67, so security is a huge issue. Collaboration, we have federal task force that we work with that are actually in the building. And so, putting them and working with them more efficiently and effectively in a secure environment will only benefit you. Cybercrime. Our facility does not offer the ability to actually get into phones and other computer equipment and diagnose those issues and work with those issues, so the new building will allow us to do that. And I talked about critical survivability, co-locating public safety, and victim delivery of victim investigative services. Very important. The new stations are designed to keep victims and potential suspects within the separated. The interview rooms are completely separated. They never cross, and it protects them. And as we grow, I looked at a stat the other day. When I first arrived in Midlothian, we would go about 3 or 4 weeks between calls for what we call domestic violence. We are now responding on a daily basis to domestic violence, critical health issues. So as we grow more and more complex, and the intensity of our calls grow, we're going to need more and more ability to provide services in a secure environment. I'm going to and so, again, the workforce environment, completely different workforce perspectives than it was back in the 70s, 60s, 50s, when you talk about the makeup of law enforcement. And just having the large non-sworn environment we have a lot of gender issues that we're going to address in this, ADA issues, the work environment. It's a tremendous enhancement for our staff. As you may know, new work environments that desks stand up, or they allow you to sit, and so ergonomically speaking, all of our work environments will be better. So there's a famous tornado that all of us were watching outside the window as it was coming over the top of the Midlothian PD. And this is the church, Lighthouse Church, that was demolished just about a half mile away. You can see the devastation that I think it was an F1, E1 that took that church down. It wasn't even a large tornado. This is our current facility. I will tell you that if you come visit the PD today, it's clean, and we do the best we have. We're very blessed to have the room that we have. We do not in any way suffer from being that other than the provision of services. And the next slide should show a mock-up of the new facility. One of the things I've heard is that this building is a part of the gateway entrance to downtown and into Midlothian. So we're hoping to build something that you will be proud of, and the council will be proud of his names on. Real quickly, this is the existing. A lot of people want to know where it's going. The new building is going in basically the front yard. Where the soccer park area, that's kind of a green space that we've maintained for the last 14 years. Our architectural firms have come up with schematics that allow us to build that facility and continue operations while it's being built, so that when we move in, we will tear down some of the old building. The 2-story in the back, we're going to continue to use that as a training facility. So. And I don't think there's a lot more to that, Laura, just more of the schematics, different types of plans. We were just now working with architectural firms, getting into choosing an architectural firm. So, the plans they're not solidified yet, the work's not solidified. We have about a year or so to get that done. But it's a very exciting project. And again, when we talk about law enforcement or first responder appreciation, this was one of the biggest votes of confidence we got from our community, was giving us a new place to operate and serve you. So, are there any questions? That's another type of scheme. So we're trying to work out what would be best for that piece of real estate. But phenomenal building. It will also house our courts. I don't want to not to glaze over that. They will be another operational benefit that will be on campus with law enforcement. We provide their bail services and work with them on a daily basis in our holding facility and working with each other. And that's another scheme. It just shows what's interesting about a multi-story building is being able to be efficient with the movement of evidence, our victims, defendants, and then also creating the envelope for the Emergency Operations Center and fire admin, police admin, and 911. So they'll all be co-located in an area that should withstand and operate through a very intense storm. It's a nice tool. Any questions? Yes.
I just want to know how large you think the fire chief's office is. In the building.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I think we're going through a contractual effort right now to identify our architect, and then there are some other, we'll have to identify our construction manager risk, and then construction group. So, about 36 months in total. So we'll start design hopefully the first of the year. It's going to be a long, long haul. But, yeah, thank you all.
That's nice, that's cool. Why not?
So at this time, we've got some folks from Methodist. I left my script.
Script over here.
No.
Okay, Harry Yates and Jerry Gansky from Methodist Midlothian are going to come forward, and they're going to do a special presentation. And is that to Chief of Police, Fire Chief, or both?
He'll let them know.
Both? Okay, chiefs. Head back up here. Who's speaking? Jerry is speaking again. But you know what? You did a great job a while ago. You didn't need practice on that part.
First, I want to say that when Laura reached out and said, look for sponsors for this, we were very, very quick to jump on it because we see ourselves as partners. I mean, we're partners with EMS. This is first responders. And this is very, very important to us. I happened to look before I walked over here. We've been open, not that I count, 303 days today. And the EMS has pulled up into our drive over 1,000 times in that 303 days. Not to mention about another 600 EMS from other locals. So there's no doubt that we see you as our partners, and we listen to what we have to offer and what you tell us that we need to add. And I'm thrilled to say that last week I went to the Methodist Health System Board of Directors and got a multi-million-dollar approval to start our cath lab, which will be open in May. So really good.
Yeah.
Just quickly, we have up here Kevin Schrader. He came to us from Mansfield. Yes, I got in trouble for hiring a lot of people from Mansfield, just like you're hiring from DeSoto. So, and actually, Kevin is a former police officer who moved from that side of the aisle over to the EMS side. We're thrilled to have him. Of course, Karen Yates, who handles cardiology and EMS relations at Mansfield. I know she was there 10 years ago when I walked in the door, so I'm not really sure to put any more time frame on that. Angel Biasotti, who is obviously your chair of your entire group here, and she handles community and public relations for Mansfield. Is an unbelievable supporter of Midlothian. And then we have Casey Cheshire, who we pulled in from the United Way to do Angel's job here in Midlothian, and maybe he's a future chair of the chamber as well. So we will see. But that's our group that we brought here today. So what we want to do is just take a moment to honor two groups, as I understand it. And first is the Crisis Intervention Unit for the Midlothian Police Department. Is what I was told is they proactively assist residents suffering from mental health, developmental disabilities, diminished cognitive function, help help themselves and loved ones using the Guardian program, which assists dispatch and police officers in responding to emergency situations. We want to thank this unit for their implementation of the program, caring for health and wellness of all the residents in Midlothian. I think somebody's got something to hand out. It's Angel here. Oh, those are nice. Angel.
If y'all will come on this side, so you'll be in the video shot.
Larry, there you go.
Cool.
Y'all gonna have to really squeeze in on this one. I'm gonna be way out of the frame. It's all good. It's all good. All right, y'all ready? All right. 1, 2, and 3.
I really think Casey is set up to work for the chamber these days. The first day I came to Mansfield 10 years ago, Angel caught me by the elevator and took my photo. And I see him with a camera every time I look up. And I said, he's your guy. All right, the second thing we want to do is recognize the Midlothian Fire Department and EMS workers. So over the past 18 months, another set of heroes has more or less consistently displayed courage, dedication, professionalism during the COVID-19 health pandemic. So we want to thank the Midlothian Fire Administration and the entire department for the focus on improving emergency care to residents in the region, providing emergency care, and especially during this challenging season, which we understand. So let's recognize the Midlothian Fire Department and their EMS partners. Angel has another good-looking guy. Sure.
So can y'all come up? And then we'll let y'all get out of here.
We'll get them all. Yeah.
So everybody in the corner in the gray
Get
shirt,
everybody.
please stand up. Please
We
stand
can,
up.
let's just, here. While they're coming up, let's move that out of the way.
Yeah, let's get that. We'll wait back. Lay it back down. Got it.
Don't trip up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, y'all gotta act like you know each other.
Yeah, come hold it. CMS.
We get a few y'all up front. Can a few y'all come up front? There we go. There we go. Just a little, keep coming. Keep a few more if you can. Sure. Can I get you two in the front, Philip? Y'all come on.
We're the only two?
Angel, come on. Screech in.
Angel, come on down here.
Come on down there. All right. Y'all ready? All right. 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you. I just want to say I couldn't be more proud to be a part of a community like Midlothian and serve all these great people. So thanks so very much.
All right, we've got 2 more quick special presentations, and then we'll get you all out of here. The first is I'm going to ask Donna Bonnell, Donna Crimmins Bonnell, to come forward. She is the president of the ambassadors. She's got a quick special presentation to make.
Good afternoon. There's a special business amongst us today, Blue Line Pest Police, and by the way, Lexi and Travis were both first responders in their time prior to starting this business, and they were unable to attend our local Ambassador Yearly Awards Dinner. So we're going to give them a makeshift today, and then they'll get their official plaque later, but we would like to take the moment to honor them. Again, they were were first responders for several years before starting this, and they just recently have been fighting the armyworm battle.
Four-year-old got a pee, so. Don't hold that.
Don't hold it. This is a great photo. All right, you ready? All right, 1, 2, 3. Got it.
All right, next, Mayor Reno pulled me aside, asked me if he could have a minute or two. So, Mayor Reno, it is your turn.
I'll make this quick. Those who know me know I don't volunteer to get up in front of the mic. Dale's my hero. And I don't speak for council very often, but in this regard, I think I have full support of the council and our gratitude and appreciation we have for our fire and our police, our first responders. I mean, it is a blessing to work for the city because of y'all. Whether you're taking a young child to school or calming down a person is at a UPS station, we only hear good things about y'all. And you have our full support, and you have, more importantly, our gratitude for what y'all mean to this community. So thank you. I think council is with me on that. So thank you.
That's why I wanted to do this. Chief Smith mentioned, I first approached the two chiefs 2 years ago about trying to find a date when we could do this, because I knew that you, the chamber, and the community would want to partner with us and do this. All right, before we wrap up, I want to call your attention to some upcoming events. This Saturday, someone mentioned Heritage Day. It's going to be a big community event. It's co-hosted by the Downtown Business Association and the National Night Out Committee. So it's going to kick that off downtown on Saturday. I've heard it's 9 to 9. That's a lot of community together. Our candidate forum for the state representative special election is going to be held Wednesday, September 15th from 5:30 to 7:30. Our two candidates are here. So if you don't know them, meet them. And do we know yet when the date is? Okay. Well, we went ahead and set a date because we wanted to be able to have it in this room, and we can't hold a candidate forum in this room when early voting has started. So we're going to help you all make a wise decision at the polls. Our State of the District Luncheon will be Wednesday, October 13th. And then our annual auction and dinner is going to be Saturday, November 6th. Once again, thanks to our presenting sponsors, Atlas Energy and Methodist Midlothian. Our VIP community sponsors were Dow and Heroes of Midlothian. Our corporate sponsors, Centennial Roofing, Tarleton State University, City of Midlothian, and Blue Line Pest Police, and all of you who sponsored First Responder Meals. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next month at the State of the District Report. Thank you.